Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Blazik, lead cover artist for Axiom Systems wrestling RPG called Upper Hand Wrestling. We are excited to talk to you guys about it, and I thought who better to bring in than the lead game designer, Zachariah Van Sliders. Shaving on... Why are you shaving?
Bow down to the king of kings.
You are definitely not the game.
The game, Triple H.
Nope.
The cerebral assassin.
This is just stupid.
When Zachariah called me up and asked me to help him with his wrestling RPG, I had to take him up on it. Steph and the kids can be a bit much since my retirement, if you know what I mean.
Why are you doing this to me, dude?
Upper Hand is a fast-paced, card-based RPG that allows you to experience heart-pounding, moment-to-moment action inside the square circle without having to deal with the dipshits. I'm talking about you, Rock! We also designed an all-play system which allows players to experience the game from both sides of the coin, playing and game mastering.
And what is that supposed to be?
It's my 20-pound sledge. So, grab a copy of Upper Hand on Axiom System Wrestling RPG, coming out on the 6th from Axiom Games, LLC. You can pick it up at drive-thru games at drivethrurpg.com, and don't click the hyperlink, because we don't have enough money for a hyperlink. And if you're not down with that, I got 2 words for you.
And then on top of all this, have you at least started watching the new season of Cobra Kai?
Yes, we did today.
Excellent. That's literally what we had
it's
just
so
finished.
Ridiculous. That show is so beyond.
Oh yeah.
Like that show has made an entire, made all its money on jumping the shark in the first season.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's beyond the pale already. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's funny because that's what we were doing literally before you messaged me, and we had finished an episode, and it was like 10 till 9. I'm like, do we try to start an episode? And I was like, you know what? We'll go for it. We'll see what happens. And we got 8 minutes in, and then you had messaged we're on. I'm like, you know what? No, this is a good stopping point. I did flirt with sending your reply of, in the middle of something closer to 9:30.
Which would have been fine. I wouldn't have...
Time to get your fix. It's a horrible gaming podcast. It's not good. It's not great. Horrible gaming podcast. It's not even what you would call fair. It's really not that good. Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Hello, my name is Zachariah with Old Man Gaming. Welcome to another Horrible Gaming Podcast. You have decided for whatever reason to listen to us. And by us, I mean I am not alone, and mostly I am never alone. With me is...
Neil, aka Tiny Wizard.
Yes. Fresh off D23's surprise gaming expo that nobody announced beforehand, and Ubisoft Forward with some kind of crazy news. So we're going to talk about that today instead of the AI thing. We will come back to the AI thing. It's just, like I said, a bunch of news dropped and we've got to cover it. But before we do cover it, let's go ahead and thank the people who helped us make this possible. And that would be Mr. Mark Bell. The picture behind our ugly mugs was provided by him. We thank him for that. And then, of course, the theme song for this show and all shows here at OMG is provided by the man who makes the music, my brother Nick Van Sliders. We thank him for that. Be right back with Fans Reaction.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Alright, so that brings us to our first segment, our most important segment. That is Fanteraction. That's where we, the co-hosts, talk to you guys, the fans. We respond to all your comments. We answer them. We riff on them. We argue with them. This is our way. So let's get into it. We got a lot of comments from Jason. So that's basically what we got. So right off the bat, Jason, I watch a lot of Scandinavian and German shows on Netflix. Not much else. That is a weird use of Netflix, but more power to you. He then continues, IHOP sucks. Waffle House all the way. I disagree. Disagree with you. I am an IHOP man. I'm Team IHOP. Waffle House is a shithole. Sorry, that's my fault. Where you fall, Neil? You can break the tie.
I think I fall more towards Waffle House. I think I do.
Oh,
Don't get me wrong.
I'm hurt.
Don't get me wrong. Waffle House is not a good place to be, especially at certain hours in the evening. 9 times out of 10, if you have a viral video somewhere, it either takes place in a Waffle House or around one.
Right.
I even have a Waffle House story.
Yeah.
Like everybody. But I mean, honestly, the food for the price is pretty good. IHOP is fine.
I like
IHOP
this IHOP. I'm an IHOP guy.
Is a solid okay.
IHOP guy. All right. Fair enough. Well, I guess, Jason, you went out on that one, I guess. Although I will maintain my love of IHOP till the day I die. I hate executive meddling. Why do we even need executives these days? Well, that's the trick there, Jason. We don't need executives. Executives have just put themselves in places of power so that we can't get rid of executives. They're like cockroaches or fruit flies. There's always another one. What'd you say, man?
In suits.
In
you
suits.
said cockroaches.
Yes.
In suits.
In suits.
Cockroaches in suits.
He continues, I like stories given in bits and pieces. State of Decay 2, for instance, tells a lot of little stories just looking at the environment. Bits of just normal, everyday stuff on notes in containers. And now with the look at system, they put in Trumbull and on the radio. Other than that, it has no storyline. Oh, need to click that read more. Or Watch Dogs 2 / Far Cry 5 / Conan Exiles / Fallout 4. Where's a story, but you can progress as you want or just outright ignore it and play with the other stuff. Excuse me, everybody. FC5 Far Cry 5 does force story on you at certain points, which is annoying, mainly included so I can gripe about it. Okay, well, I will say this. I like the first half of that a lot more than the second half, though I will say, yes, Fallout 4 is very... And those old Bethesda games, like Skyrim, I have multiple characters that have never even touched the main story and just done other things. The first character I ever played in that game, I literally looked up where the Thieves Guild is, and then the minute I was out of the first dungeon, just beelined it to Riften, and I was done. You know, that's all he ever did, and that's how I learned the dragons never show up if you don't do that first quest. So I kind of agree with that. I will say Far Cry 5 forces storyline on you. I hate Far Cry 5 story, and that's one of the big problems I had with that game. It was a great game until the end, and the fact that it forces that story on you. I don't know. Feelings on this, Neil?
Yeah, I don't know. I personally, I'm sure you probably know the way that I'm going to lean. Yeah. I love the story being forced on me. So that way it's one of those things to where, like, I've always been a sucker for a story being told to me, so I don't have to think about anything other than what is going on around me. That's part of the reason why I kind of like audiobooks. It's like it evokes that same sort of feeling. Now, granted, you don't interact with an audiobook, so I mean that's where the path kind of diverges a little bit. I do like in some games the little tiny bits and pieces of story that you get here and there. Like Horizon does that, I think, pretty well. Every little area has its own little tiny story that's told through like data logs and stuff. Like I enjoy that, but at the same time, I want myself a heavy-handed story too. And then I know that's not for everybody, but like that's I love that.
I want to be able to complete anything I start. It's something that still bothers me about that original Horizon is I will probably never finish that story just because it's such a big game with so many distractions that I'm never going to get to it. Whereas the games with the smaller stories, even if I never pick it up again, I've probably resolved every story I started. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things, like I said, that excites me about Skull and Bones, which we're definitely going to talk about today. Yeah, so I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, story, heavy-handed large story is less freedom, and I want more freedom. Moving on to his next comment, I am never going to stop making fun of Conan Exile's floppy peen. Not sorry. We're not sorry you do either, buddy. We're not sorry you do either. I don't know about Chainsaw, but Killer Clowns is being worked on by the people who actually made the movie. I was not aware of that.
Wow. Okay.
Makes me slightly more nervous, because I've seen that movie.
Yeah, I've seen about half of it.
It's pretty bad.
Oh, I remember that. But I mean, at the same time, though, it's those who have the source material. And that kind of makes me feel a little bit better about it. Not necessarily like whether or not it will be quote unquote good, but like the care that goes into the design and everything. Now the actual building of the game, who knows? Because, you have to have a game studio and programmers and everything that do that. And then, like we've already kind of alluded to, once you get suits involved with things, then shit starts getting changed and moved around, and then stuff can change. But it gives me a little bit of hope for that project.
Right. All right, moving into William Ho. And sorry, everybody, we're going through this a little fast because I feel like we're going to get really bogged down with the talking point. Hi! Exclamation point. Awkward in a social situation. Telling a joke where people don't think you're right. Isn't it basically being Chandler Bing from Friends? One of my spirit animals there, William. Wow, thanks for the kind words for our podcast. I really appreciate it, really. Man, I can't wait for the Horrible Game Awards. It is the real Game Awards show. Hell yeah. I agree with Neil on the music. I can't wrap my head around people playing their games with no sound. It's so important to set the mood of the game. Hyperlight Drifter is a fantastic example of that. Oh, and the Persona games too. If you like J-pop at least. What I don't like in Breath of the Wild is weapons breaking all the time. Oh, I've been playing Zelda games since Link's Awakening in 1994 or something like that and couldn't take the weapons breaking. For my off-topic this week, I've been playing Avernum 3 on my iPad, and it's incredible. That series from Jeff Vogel, who has been making old-school CRPGs since the 90s, and he has been porting his games to iPad for the past few years. It's great to have those games on mobile. Pay once and play. That's it. Highly recommended if you're into games like Baldur's Gate and can stomach indie games. Cheers and thanks for the show. Hashtag can't wait for the Horrible Game Awards. Well, thank you for those kind words in the Horrible Game Awards, Will. We're going to probably invite you to the committee this year, so get ready for that message at some point. And then as far as music goes, the only disagreement I'm going to have here is back in the day there were games that you could play enough times that you were used to the sound and you didn't need the ambient sound, and you could like turn down the game music and listen to music, which I kind of enjoyed that sometimes, and you really can't do that anymore with games. That being said, still love music.
That was one of the best things about like Halo multiplayer, and it still for the most part is still is true, to where the multiplayer didn't have any sort of music to it for the most part. I would always plug in my MP3 player to my Xbox and have a specific playlist called Wreck Shit that I would end up playing whenever I would go online with multiplayer.
Right.
And I miss that. Oh, God, do I miss that.
Yeah. Asylum 66, he didn't comment on this show, but I've talked to him personally, and he was like, that's one of the things I miss about games is that you have to have the sound now to even know what's happening around you, whereas back in the day, you didn't always need that, and you could listen to music during it. Breath of the Wild, weapons breaking all the time. Will, do me a favor, man. If you get the time, I don't know if you have Game Pass, and I know that you like mobile gaming a little bit more than console or PC gaming. But if you have Xbox and you have Game Pass, Immortals Phoenix Rising is in there right now. It is an Ubisoft game. It's basically Breath of the Wild. Like, as far as gameplay goes, it's Breath of the Wild, but without any weapons breaking. Like that's basically what that game is, and I'm having a ton of fun with it because it actually has, in my opinion, a more interesting combat system to it as well, and a more interesting story to it. So, just saying right now, I kind of wrote it off when it came out because it did just kind of look like a Breath of the Wild clone, and Ubisoft is notorious for just like, oh, people like that, let's make a game like that, you know. Yeah. But I actually think it's a little bit better than Breath of the Wild, all being said. So give that a try if you get the chance. And that's it. That's it for the fan interaction. Unless you got anything to add there, Neil.
No, nothing really. Zach had mentioned too. You know, we're gonna try to do that AI thing at some point.
Yes.
I mean, if it comes down to it, even if something happens, God forbid, next week some other crazy news drops. Because I know there was rumored to be a Nintendo Direct, but I guess I'll burn one of my odds here now. I guess that rumored Direct was delayed because of the death of the Queen. So
it's just weird, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nintendo. That's the thing. Nintendo's done stuff like that before because I know when the war in Ukraine started, they pulled Advance Wars release date and everything like that. So it's not necessarily out of the ordinary for them, but there is a possibility that next week we have something. This AI thing is just a fun little idea that we have. We'll do it at some point. Right.
That's definitely going to be we don't have any news sort of topic thing.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, I didn't think the Ubisoft Forward or the D23... Well, I didn't think D23 was going to have anything, let alone the amount that they showed. And I certainly didn't think that the Ubisoft was going to be, I don't want to say as strong, but I would say as content-heavy as it was. So we got to talk about it. There's no way we can't. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a little break, then we will come back with that.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our talking point, and that is going to be a split talking point. Split! Double talking point! I'm sorry. I wasn't...
Double the talk. Double the point.
Double the talk. Double the points. Ubisoft Forward happened on Saturday. D23 happened over the weekend. D23, however, had a kind of surprise gaming expo centering around both Disney and Marvel stuff. But we're not going to start with that one. I kind of want to start with the Ubisoft one because there was some things announced at Ubisoft that kind of crazy in my opinion. And I don't know if it's going to ring any bells for anybody who listens to this on the regular, but I just there's some really weird stuff here going on, in my opinion. Some really weird stuff. Before we get into the super weird stuff, though, let's talk about the Skull and Bones. That kind of opened the show. So, apparently, I am in the minority of people who really want to play this game, I think, because if you watch the trailer for this, it was very, damage control-y, in my opinion. What we got a new cinematic trailer that laid out a little bit more of the smuggling part of the game, the smuggling part of the pirate stuff. It laid out your hideout, a little bit more about your hideout, and you crafting goods to smuggle them from point A to point B, setting up a network, so to speak, of smugglers, that sort of thing, which was fine. Then we got this really weird section where basically it just had testimonials of people who've been in the Ubisoft Insider program who have been playing Skull and Bones. this entire time or recently or whatever, basically explaining how good they think the game is. Super strange. I think they had like something like 20 testimonials of just like people like, I played this thing and I'm having so much fun and I'm doing this and it's really cool. And like, okay, so here's my thing. I am still very excited about this game. The things that people are not excited about are not things, they're not deal breakers for me in any way, shape, or form. I haven't heard anything from this game that makes me not want to play it or nervous about it, other than the fact that it's an Ubisoft game in general, and the fact that it's been in development as long as it has. That being said, there is a general consensus on the on the interwebs that everybody's kind of pissed that this game took so long to make, and there's no real boarding, and there's no real searching islands and stuff, and everything basically happens on the ship. There's no real player character movement, so I don't know. This just kind of felt very like, we've got to make sure people know that this is a fun game because everybody's already upset and we haven't even released it,
Yeah, which when a trailer comes across, or literally anything comes across like that, I don't necessarily think it's a really good look, and
No.
It kind of screams desperation. I'm really curious as to what faith they have in it. Like, if it's one of those situations to where it's like, you know what, this is the vision that we have, and this is what we want the game to be, and we're going to put it out because we feel it's ready. Or is it a, well, we fucked around as long as we can, and if we don't put it out now, it's just going to get canceled completely, so let's just do it and see what happens.
I think they
wonder what camp.
I think they need it. I think that's why. I think there is some desperation here because they haven't had any really big releases. They've had a ton of delays this year. And as a company, while we did get a lot of announcements at this Forward, which we're going to talk about, none of them are really coming this year. And the only thing really in the works for this year is Skull and Bones. And I think they really need that to generate some revenue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we can move on, but I'm in agreement with that. I personally, I think they should more or less stay the course. I think they should just keep showing people cool parts of this game, which they did do some of that. The trader stuff that they showed was kind of cool. They also showed a lot of ship customization stuff, which was also very cool. I think that's what they need to do. They need to double down on the stuff they have in this game, because there's no writing this. There's no delaying this again so that you can put characters running around on islands. Personally, I don't think that's possible in this game. I don't think it was ever possible in this game. I don't think that's what this game was ever designed to be, So that being said, I think they just need to stay the course. I mean, and it's not going to be for everybody. There's going to be people out there who are like, I wanted Sea of Thieves, but with NPCs, This is not the game for you, Stay the course on the cool aspects. Show us the cool aspects of the game, and not worry so much about, people being upset that you don't have people walking around on land. You know what I mean? I would have liked that 10 extra minutes on the testimonials to be more features of the game that you think is cool,
Mm-hmm.
All right, but that's all the time we have to spend on it, unless you've got anything to add to that.
Nah.
All right, let's get to the big one on Ubisoft Forward, okay? And that is Assassin's Creed Infinity, which is this mercurial kind of idea of a platform that they're creating and a jumping in, jumping off point. Basically what they've done is they have this guy in charge now, Coty, which basically he has decided to kind of try and Kevin Feige the Assassin's Creed universe, basically. And to do that, what he's doing is first he's making a platform, which is the Assassin's Creed Infinity, which, from what I understand, will be much like Ubisoft Connect. It will be a thing that you download where all the Assassin's Creed games are, as well as extra little bits, but it'll just be dedicated to Assassin's Creed. Within this platform, they have promised, they have promised a lot of stuff. If you're an Assassin's Creed fan, and you in any way, shape, or form have any trust for Ubisoft, things are about to get very interesting for you, because basically he kind of spelled it out. He said, "Look, we've had this is going to be the third era, starting with it's not Mirage, the one after Mirage, I believe. This has been the second era of Assassin's Creed games, which are role-playing games." Free roam role-playing games, big free roam role-playing games. The first era was free roam kind of stealth games, which includes your original game or whatever. Mm-hmm. Everything up until Origins, right? And then Origins on was like the second era. He's like, this is going to be the third era. And the third era is going to be a mixed match of anything. We're going to have games from that original time period, that original era. We're going to make games with role-playing game aspects that are big. Basically, we're not saying all Assassin's Creed games are going to be big 150-hour epics anymore. He's also promised a bunch of other things to come to this. One of the big things that I think is a good improvement, and I know I'm going through a lot of this, but I'm just trying to kind of spell this out, what this is going to be, because it took me a lot of time to even figure out what this was. He's actually going to pull all of the meta futuristic bullshit out of the games. You will be learning that through your Assassin's Creed Infinity stuff. So like Desmond and Lila and stuff like that and all that future shit, that's out. You're just going to play in the history. Basically, from here on out, the story will be you are the character. Assassin's Creed Infinity is your animus, and you're accessing the memories from your game, basically. There's more parts to this, but I want to give you a chance to talk because I just went through a ton of it.
I don't know. I feel like it's something that's relatively necessary, I think. But at the same time, it makes me personally kind of sad, because I always thought of the Assassin's Creed games as like a huge overarching story, and I feel like they started that way. Like the first like 3 or so had like something is going on in like the future part of it all, and all of these games will eventually lead up to the point that you'll find out what has been going on, and then the very last game is like you as a dude in the future doing like the assassin stuff to put a stop to whatever's going on or something like that. But at the same time, as time has gone on, there's been how many of these games now? 8, 9 Assassin's Creed games. It is just so freaking convoluted. Like, you need something to kind of sort it all out and bring it back together in a more digestible manner.
Well, and I get the whole Desmond thing in the beginning, and that story. I'll admit I really enjoyed the Desmond stuff in the first game. I was not as into it in the second and third, but still, I understood what they were trying to do. But like you said, we're 6, 7 of these games in, and I can't tell you how much I hate when I'm on the Indian Ocean sailing in a pirate ship, taking people down, and then I have to stop and walk around an office building for fucking an hour of the game. It's such a break, in the action. So yeah, I'm worried about this from a monetization point. I think that there's a lot of look, on its base level, I think it's an interesting idea. I think the idea of like making you the person and making your console or PC the animus, and that's how you're accessing the thing, I think that's very interesting. That's a cool idea. The problem with that is, from a logistical 40-year-old cranky man standpoint, I don't want another fucking service that I have to download and manage in addition to my Ubisoft and my Game Pass and my Steam and my Epic Store. I don't want to have to deal with that, and this seems like I'm going to have to deal with that. That's it. It just feels more cumbersome. I wish that like this could have been integrated into what they already have, which is Ubisoft Connect. Like, that's what you have. That's your storefront. That's your digital play space. That's what you use for this. So I don't understand why we couldn't find a way to integrate that in. And maybe they will in the future, but it doesn't look that way. Also, we got a bunch of Assassin's Creed games announced. An absolute fuck ton. So in addition, a metric fuck ton. We've got Mirage coming out very soon, which will be a smaller game, but it will center around a character in the Middle East. I can't remember. Baghdad, thank you. I knew it was a B. I kept wanting to say Babylon, and I'm like, that is not a Middle Eastern. Baghdad, yeah. So he'll be in Baghdad, which is cool. I think that's a cool setting, a very original setting. But that's not the only thing we got announced. We also got. Let me get into the thing here. We got our next big game, and this is the game that's going to be starting off the 3 and the Infinity. It will be the first one into it. It's just codename Red right now, and it will be the one set in feudal Japan. Finally, people have been asking for this for a long time, that it gets set in feudal Japan. But yeah, that'll be the next big entry, which will be in feudal Japan. However, we're going to get a whole nother Assassin's Creed game next year, a big entry game, as well as a ton of small ones. Like, if you like Assassin's Creed, you're going to be really happy. If you're sick of Assassin's Creed, it's not going to be a good year for you. 2023 is going to be a bad year for you. But the next one coming is Assassin's Creed Hex, which, honestly, we just saw an announced trailer. We didn't see any gameplay. It was just kind of like an allusion to a thing. But everybody's kind of speculating that it's going to be during a certain set of witch trials in Europe, which is another interesting section. I think it makes a lot of sense for one of these to kind of cover the old school way of playing, and then one of these to be kind of more of an RPG sort of thing. So that kind of makes sense that there's two. But again, we're not done. We're also going to get a full open world game that is on mobile called Assassin's Creed codename Jade, and that is going to be in China. It's going to take place in China, but it's going to be a full open world game, which is interesting to do such an undertaking for mobile games. I'll be interested to see, because I don't think that's going to be a free to play one.
I don't know. If they can do it with what's that other one that I can't believe I'm struggling with the name of it right now.
Division?
No. Why am I struggling with this? My mind is completely blank. The big anime Breath of the Wild.
Genshin Impact.
Genshin Impact. Yeah, that one. Wow, that took me way too long to get to that.
That one's free to play though.
Yeah, that's the thing, is if they can do free to play, I mean, I imagine that, this would be able to be free to play too.
The thing is, and I'm sure they'll find a way to put microtransactions in it if it's free to play.
They always find a way.
My thing is, though, is Genshin Impact's microtransactions center around its characters. Like you could switch from character to character in it. So you're trying to unlock the 100+ characters that you can unlock and switch back and forth through. With this, I don't see that working in an Assassin's Creed game. So I'm not sure how they're going to do the microtransactions here. We'll have to see. Especially since they have actually alluded to an actual free-to-play game at this thing, which would be a multiplayer for Assassin's Creed, like a specific multiplayer standalone game that will come out with Assassin's Creed Affinity, and it would be they have hinted that it's going to be free to play, that they are attempting to do a free to play model on it.
I'm not surprised, but at the same time too, I mean, they haven't done multiplayer since, what was it, Brotherhood?
Yeah, that is correct, and that's something that they really want to bring back. So, I don't know. very interesting stuff all the way around. I am very nervous with the way they have implemented this, and I'm just gonna say I don't want another platform to play on. You know, I just don't.
Oh yeah.
Like it's just too much for me. Other than that, we got some Division news. Division Heartland is gearing up for another testing phase. That is going to be, and the word of the day for the Ubisoft Forward was mobile, which kind of bugs me a little bit. But
oh yeah,
Heartland is going to be a Resurgence is the mobile. Heartland is going to be a free-to-play game, but it's set in the Division game, but instead of playing like a character you play, it's going to be more based on like selecting heroes and being PvPvE sort of situation. Mm-hmm. Then we also get the Division Resurgence, which is a mobile spin-off, and it is going to be a PvP, like straight PvP and Dark Zone conflict is what it's kind of centering around, which is I don't know. They really doubling down on like mobile stuff. I felt like.
Yeah, and I feel like everyone and their mother is starting to move towards that mobile everything.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a relic of the past at this point, but like. There was a time when I was younger, I wanted nothing more than to have all the cool games, but be able to play them anywhere I went. And now that that's happening, maybe it's just because it's on a phone and not like a dedicated mobile console like a Switch or something. I'm just not as excited with that prospect as I would have been years ago.
Here's my thing. I think mobile gaming it could be beautiful. You know what I mean? Mobile they're incredibly powerful machines in your hand that can communicate with anything, anywhere, basically. They're basically little PCs. They are very powerful and can run some really cool things. Just download Genshin Impact and play it. Yes, there is a ton of loading time the first time you play it. But, I mean, the fact that it's on a fucking phone is crazy. So I think that leveraging that technology is cool for gaming. My biggest problem, though, is that the people who got in there first and set up shop are evil, monetization-hungry sons of bitches. And while I'm not saying that every game out there is like that, it's not. You just have a lot of people with just tons of loot boxes and microtransactions and free-to-plays and stuff like that. And I'm more concerned, like, the idea that, like, I mean, we could be going in two different ways. We could be going one way where, like, mobile is really finally getting its comeuppance and it's finally becoming, a viable contender in the gaming space. It's getting these kind of like near AAA titles that are making it a valid option. Or, which I'm afraid is much more likely, these AAA developers have looked at these scumbag developers like Zynga and all of them and been like, you make how much on Candy Crush?
Oh.
Right, exactly. How do we do that? Who cares if it's good? And that's something that kind of makes me nervous in this particular juncture. I mean, again, I think that mobile is an interesting space. It can be leveraged to make some really interesting games. But I'm very scared in the hands of a company that, like Ubisoft, that this is more of a cash play than a play into a new space.
I mean, look at Activision with Diablo Immortal. The game overall, people don't like it. But what was it? The story, it was in like 3 days. It already like more than made back its entire development cost, and it's just been going ever since.
Right.
So that's the thing is, with these free-to-play games, you don't need everybody to like it. You only need some people who just happen to have money to like it, and that's it. And that's how we get the trash shoveled towards us, basically.
Well, and that's the thing. Is this going to be good games, or are they going to be shovelware? And honestly, if they're free to play and they have a ton of microtransactions in them, but they're quality games and not shovelware, I'm all for it. I'm totally fine with it. But I can't count the number of games lately that I've downloaded on my phone, and they just turned out to be shovelware bullshit that they're just trying to get you to click a button the wrong way so that you spend $3, you know? And that's why it's like, okay, if you're going to bring out some good stuff, okay, I'm excited for that, but we'll have to wait and see. I don't think there was anything else really at the Ubisoft that bears a ton of conversation. Brawlhalla is crossing over with Castlevania, which is cool. And then we had some rabbits and Spark of Hope Mario news, which I gotta be honest, it's not my game. Not gonna be ever really into that. Not gonna know that much about it, you know. And then we had a Valhalla last chapter, tie up loose ends, Ivor's story sort of thing. So if you're that kind of guy, if you're playing that game, that's about to wrap itself up. So that's about it. Unless you got anything to add, we can move to D23.
No, let's go to D23.
All right. So D23 is kind of crazy to me. This one came out of nowhere. I don't ever watch D23 because, I mean, I don't really have time to watch movies or TV anymore. There's very few shows I get to watch anymore. So this isn't something that normally interests me. Also, I'm kind of out of the superhero movie / TV show stuff. I'm done with that, kind of. That being said, they opened on Friday with a gaming expo, Marvel and Disney Gaming Expo, which just surprised me because we had tons of announcements that not only look interesting, but things that nobody knew anybody was working on. Okay? Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously, first we got Disney Dreamlight Valley. Actually, turns out to be a pretty solid game. My kid's been playing it. I've seen it. It's not bad. 8 out of 10 on IGN. I mean, that doesn't normally mean anything because it's Disney. They're not going to piss them off. But those right off the bat got like DLC announcements. Lion King and Toy Story. Cool, whatever. But then we got Tron. And I thought this would excite you, man.
Yes.
Tron, what was it called? Tron Identity.
Tron Identity
is announced as a puzzle-based visual novel. So it will be kind of like a Telltale game almost, plot-wise, with like kind of like puzzle elements for your action. And I know you're a big Tron guy, so like that was like, I was like, holy shit, Tron. We haven't heard about Tron in a while. This sounds really interesting. What I liked is, even though the story I sent you kind of like puts it as like a puzzle-based visual novel or whatever, it actually kind of described itself as a detective story.
It is, yeah.
To IGN a little bit more, and I like a good detective story. I tell you guys what, my favorite movies are detective movies. My favorite books are detective books. I am a hard-boiled detective fan. So like that really interested me a little bit.
Yeah, I really hope that Disney is testing the waters to see what sort of appetite there is for Tron, because I thought we were going to get a sequel to Legacy relatively shortly after Legacy was done. But they've done stuff like they've done a cartoon, and now they're doing this. There's been other like Tron projects. So I really hope that this turns into something. But I mean, even just this, I didn't get to see this trailer, but even just the single image that I'm looking at right now on this Verge article for it, I don't know. It's just a still image, but I can already feel the vibe that it's giving off. It's going to be like a noir thing,
right? And
I'm ready for it.
Yeah, it does look interesting. This is not normally, like, I don't normally go for super narrative heavy games like this, but if you trigger that buzzword for me, that detective buzzword, I'm kind of like, yeah, I want to figure out who the fuck the person is. So depending on how they do that, I will probably give this a try, although I do not know the story of Tron since the first one. So yeah, this is really cool. It's really cool that they're doing something with this,
Yeah.
Then we move on. Marvel Midnight Suns also got a release date, which this surprised me because last time we heard, yeah, like last we heard it was delayed indefinitely. It was supposed to come out in October. Then like early August, they're like, no, it's not coming out in October. Sometime it's going to come out, we promise. And then they went silent. But yeah, D3 23 Expo, they decided that it is coming out, I think, late December 22nd, if I'm correct. Unfortunately, the article I have up doesn't specifically say.
The one that I see right here is just December 2nd.
Okay, December 2nd. I at least had the 2 right.
Yeah.
Which is a lot sooner than I expected for an indefinite delay.
Right. I was thinking next year.
Yeah. Yeah, so was I. So that's interesting. Interesting stuff there. I don't know about that game. I'm not a huge CRPG guy. I think Phil's interested in that. Phil Billy is. We'll have to see. So moving on. Disney Illusion Island got announced as a Nintendo Switch exclusive, which surprised me. And it's basically a sequel to a spiritual successor to Mickey's Castle of Illusion back on the old NES.
Yeah.
I think it was Sega, NES, and Super NES all had a Castle of Illusion, didn't they?
I think so.
It was a relatively popular game. I think I actually played it. So yeah, but it would be a new 2D platformer that's a spiritual successor to that, which is actually very interesting to me. We then got some more trailer for Marvel Snap, which looks really cool to me, but I gotta say, guys, I need a release date. I really need a release date on that one. You're not really showing me anything new at this point, you know?
Yeah, it's October 18th.
Oh, they gave a release date?
Yeah, I'm looking at a Verge article for it right now. Yeah,
we're looking at different articles. I had not seen anything with a release date, so that's awesome. October 18th.
It's coming out for it's coming
mobile,
out for
right?
I believe yeah. There's already a closed beta for it, so yeah, it'll be out on PC and mobile October 18th.
You know how much I love digital card games. This just looks really interesting to me, and I kind of want to see what it's all about. We'll have to see if it's good. I'm going to reserve judgment, but everything I saw in the first trailer made it look like they're doing the stuff right, you know? Then this one was the weirdest one, I think, announced at this D23. Aliens Dark Descent got announced at D23. Which is insane. What is an Aliens franchise doing getting announced at a Disney Expo, you know? But, I mean, I guess they own 20th Century Fox, but still this is crazy. So it's going to be a CRPG, similar to Midnight Suns, where you play the Marines kind of trying to outsmart the alien horde coming after you. Yeah, this is crazy. Crazy to me that an Aliens game got announced, and how have we not heard about the Aliens game being in you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, that's very, very odd. Very odd that it would be a Disney thing.
Yeah, or at least at the Disney Expo. I thought it was kind of crazy. We then got some other stuff that doesn't matter, like Skywalker Saga DLC. For Legos, we got an Avatar Frontiers of Pandora shout out. That's the open world Avatar game coming sometime in the world. We got a Return to Monkey Island featurette, which that one's a little weird for me. And then we got SNES title Gargoyles is getting the remaster treatment, going into the Disney Classic Games collection, but now they're bringing another classic Gargoyles remastered, which is that's kind of crazy to me. Like, we didn't know that. There was no suspicions of that. We then saw the weird AR one.
Yeah, the Niantic Marvel one.
Yeah, they're doing like from the company that did Pokemon Go, which they're still trying to make everything in AR. They did a Marvel. They're doing a Marvel one, which I don't know. I probably won't play this one. I'm not gonna lie. I can't imagine going outside and pretending to throw a hammer for however long. But I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that they're doing it. Another thing, though, that we had no idea that they were doing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Then we had another mobile game, mobile MMO, Avatar Reckoning announced. So another Avatar game. I think it's weird how everybody's doubling down on this Avatar stuff.
Yeah,
I know the sequel's supposed to be coming out at some point soon, and they're bringing the old one back to theaters, but it's still like 10 years old at this point. Like, and everybody's like relying this on a big moneymaker. Who remembers this shit at this point? Like,
see, that's the thing though, is they are relying strictly on just the money part of it, because sure, Avatar's coming back to theaters for 2 weeks at the end of the month,
right?
But they are trying to squeeze money out of people, thinking that there's enough hype there for it, because when it goes into theaters, it's going to be taken off of streaming services.
Right.
So they're intentionally trying to, make you consume it in such a way.
Right.
And I think that they've got too many eggs in that basket, because Avatar was like great for its time, but I don't know as if a CG spectacle is going to hold up here in 2022.
No, I really don't think so. And look, maybe I'm an unpopular opinion. I didn't like Avatar when it came out. I thought it was overrated back then. It's a very baseline plot, and some of the stuff in it I thought was very I don't know, what's the word? I'm looking, derivative, or too on the nose. It just wasn't my cup of tea at all. So none of these things excite me in any way, shape, or form. I just don't understand how this movie comes out. I will admit it was a cultural phenomenon when it came out, but I don't understand how this 10-year-old cultural phenomenon is now making all these games now. You know what I mean? When it's like, what are we doing here, guys? I don't know. And then finally, the crown jewel of this D23 Game Expo was they showed a trailer for an untitled Captain America / Black Panther game set in World War II, with the game director being Amy Hennig. So yeah, that's kind of a big one. Got a lot of people talking. We didn't really see any gameplay from it. It was an announced trailer, to be sure. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that one?
I have a lot of hope for this, because it's going to be a 4-player thing, and what we are, it's going to be a four player, like 4 playable characters in it. But I got ahead of what I was going to say. I feel like it's going to turn into like the Avengers game was. It's going to be very much here's your main story, blast through that, ... and then afterwards it's like, well, Hydra's still around and doing things, so here's the same Hydra mission over and over again. You build out your own Black Panther, your own Captain America, shit like that. The only thing that I might have some hope for it is if it winds up being a Gotham Knights sort of situation, to where it flows more so like that than the Avengers. But I don't know. I've just been burned now so many times from these licensed superhero games, and then we have the Avengers game that was like, this is it, this is the holy grail, this is the one that's going to break the curse and be actually good. Marvel's a big property now and they're making a game, this is going to be great. And then we got the nice hot steamy turd that was the Avengers game. I will absolutely not trust anything that this game has to offer for a while.
Here's my only thing. Here's my only counter argument to that, and that is that Amy Hennig is a pretty stalwart game designer in what she believes and what she wants to create. I don't necessarily agree with a lot of the stuff she wants to create. I don't love Amy Hennig games. They're usually very narrative-heavy games. That being said, she has left games that wanted to be that. The Star Wars game that she was working on, they tried to turn into a Destiny thing, and she walked away. She walked away from the whole company. So I think that is very telling to me, because, like I said, I don't necessarily agree with Amy Hennig's style of games, but she seems to have very strict scruples on what she will work on and what she won't work on. And she has been very specific on not wanting to work with a Destiny game or anything. And I know everybody out there, the cynics, much like myself, say, money can change a lot of minds. But she's been offered a lot of money, and she's rejected it in the past many times. So unless they found some insane threshold that I don't know about, which is, possible, I kind of feel like this is going to be a very narrative sort of thing. I think it's going to be a little bit more like a superhero Uncharted. I think that the other thing, and this is a big difference I have with you on this, is I feel like if it was going to be like a Marvel's Avenger things, we would have more characters announced. And we certainly would have more superhero characters announced. Right now, we only have 2 actual superheroes. It's Captain America, it's Black Panther, then it's like a girl from Black Panther from like Wakanda, and then a guy like a soldier. So like, even though it's 4-player, there are only 2 superheroes in it. So I feel like if this was going to be like an Avengers capitalize on it thing, we'd have a ton more characters announced. It wouldn't just be a Black Panther Captain America game.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't know. I see where you're coming from, and I'm not going to disagree with that. We have been burned a lot on that. And honestly, I disagree on some aspects of that. I would have been totally okay with it being Avengers being a Destiny-like game if the game was good. Like, I would have been totally fine, but it wasn't and isn't. With this, that's the thing. Like, with this, I kind of feel like Amy Hennig is going to be very narrative heavy on this. I have a feeling this game is going to be very much a Neil game and not very much a Zach game.
Well, for me at least, I hope it is. But yeah. I don't know. Yeah,
who knows?
I'm going to be holding off on that one for certain.
Do you have anything to add to the D23 show? Anything at all?
No, not really. I mean, of course, that was just the game stuff. They had all their movies and
but I don't want to cover that. We don't cover that.
I know. I know. We don't talk about those things here because
I don't talk about movies. This is a game show. That's not true. We talk about movies,
as we have mentioned movies many times.
Yeah, but we don't center on it. And I honestly, I was shocked because we weren't supposed to. I didn't. Like there's at least 3 or 4 games at the D23 that I was like, what? They're making that? You know what I mean? Like, that were just surprises where I feel like, look, I was telling my wife the other day, and I don't know if you guys out there know this, because it is a horrible podcast, but as the runner of a gaming channel, every day I check IGN 5 times. There are 2 other gaming sites that I check at least 3 or 4 times. Anytime I check my phone, like for text message or anything, I hit IGN and just scroll through it. Then I hit YouTube, scroll through it, see if anything's there. I do put thought and work into following this stuff. I just feel it's my responsibility as the guy who runs the channel and edits all the stuff. Because of that, I usually know about shit. You know what I mean? Or at least we've heard about shit. There's rumors about shit. The fact that, like, nobody said that the D23 Expo was really going to have a gaming expo until all of a sudden there was a gaming expo there. And then the fact that, like, 4 of these games, like, nobody knew they were in production. Nobody knew they were being worked on. That was kind of a surprising and a shocker for me. You know what I mean? I think it was a shocker for a lot of people. So
yeah, I mean, when you told me that there was games at it, like I knew D23 was coming up, and of course I'm still balls deep into all the MCU stuff. So like that's what I was focusing on with all of that. And then you had mentioned that there was game stuff too. I was like, what? But like, yeah, that's the thing. Is like it was a surprise for certain. And it makes me wonder, you know, what their plans are going to be moving forward. Like, if they're going to have their own, like, little like, Gamescom thing every other year whenever they D23.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in this. They have been bragging that they're going to, you know, bolster their gaming division for some time now, and I feel like we are seeing the fruits of that now, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so that's enough. You want to pop in odds and ends?
Sure.
All right.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
All right, so that brings us to our third segment, odds and ends. Segment. That brings us to our third segment here on a Horrible Gaming Podcast. That is where we take smaller news stories that don't necessarily deserve a full talking point, and we break them down for you guys. Maybe we just riff on them. Maybe we just want you to know about them. Maybe we just want to talk about them. What?
It's excruciating.
It's excruciating. I could do it the entire show if you want. I've been practicing a lot of voices now that I'm reading to my daughter. So it's everything. Some of them are very offensive, though, and I will not be doing them on this show.
Oh, okay. That's good.
Okay, so let's get into it. You wanted to start, man. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'll start. So, even though 343 has canceled split-screen co-op for Halo Infinite, the fans apparently haven't. There is a glitch that exists that allows it to be accomplished via an Xbox Series X and some quick menu navigation. But it will allow for local split screen. It is a little unstable, though. It's, long story short, it's a quick series of loading in, signing out, signing in quick succession, and you basically can split screen. It's like they had the feature partially implemented or something along those lines, and they just didn't completely remove it. So yeah, I'm sure at some point they're gonna patch it out and make it so you can't do it anymore, which that sort of shit is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's like, if people find a way to do it and it's not harming anything, don't take it away from them.
No, yeah, there's no reason to.
You know, yeah, but this Halo train keeps a rolling, and I meant to read the article because I had seen the article pop up after I had saw this news story. It was an article titled 343 should have Halo taken away from it. So.
Yes. Yes, please stop. Can I just say, in its entirety of being created, it has released 0 good games. Just gonna say it. It has had a couple of good multiplayer modes. It has not released it because it has only released Halo games. That is it. That is what 343 does. It has not released a single decent Halo game, at least for campaign, in my opinion. Maybe Halo Wars. I haven't played either of the Halo Wars. So, but that being said, like the mainline titles, it hasn't made a good one, in my opinion. Not one without at least a little bit of controversy, though. Even the ones that are good, it's like, oh, well, the story sucked, or it's good, but it doesn't have a split screen, or it's good, but it's not on PC, or it's good, but, you know, like...
Yeah.
Like, this company, what have they done? They made an engine, I guess, that works serviceably, but it's only being used on Halo? Like, this is fucking insane. Like, take it away from them. Take it away from them. All right. Do you want fun stuff, or do you want me to go into the shitty one?
Oh, jeez. Do whatever floats your boat.
All right. We'll go fun shitty.
Fun shitty.
If
okay.
you are a Harry Potter fan and you are excited for Hogwarts Legacy because you can't wait to live your Wizarding World life, and if you thought that Wizarding World life would include the very popular, so popular that people ride brooms in the park playing it, if you thought that it included Quidditch, it will not include Quidditch. It has been announced that Hogwarts Legacy will have no playable version of the famous sport, wizard sport that they play in it called Quidditch. So infamous that people actually adapted the rules to run around on brooms outside. Like that's a big deal. And they consoled people by saying, hey, but you'll be able to fly on your broom all over the place, and you'll even be able to compete in races, because that's a consolation. I think this is a big misstep. I'm not even a Harry Potter guy. I'm not planning on getting this game, but the fact that there's no playable Quidditch in this has got to be a turnoff.
Yeah, the only thing with that, the only reason why I'm not super bummed about that is I remember playing Final Fantasy X and
Blitzball.
having Blitzball be a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I hated every single second of Blitzball. I wanted nothing more than for that to not be a thing.
Okay.
So, I mean, it depended. Like, if it was going to be something that would have been like an optional, this, that, and the other, like, yeah, sure, you can go play Quidditch, and it was like something that was cut, I would be upset about it. But if it was one of those things that it like absolutely forced you to go through and then is like, hey, champ, you can come back and play it again if you want, even though it, ground the whole game to a halt, I wouldn't be too upset.
I don't know, man. This is kind of weird. I feel like, as just a person who's played in universes, you're making a licensed title. You know what I mean? And not just a licensed title. You're trying to. Your whole speech has been, we're simulating what life in the school would be like for your character. I feel like that's a big misstep. I mean, that's taking something very clear and right, in Final Fantasy X, if I recall correctly, you have to do the Blitzball stuff to a certain point to get through it. Maybe that's not something that needs to be it. Maybe you need to play one Quidditch match, you know what I mean, and then everything else is optional, or something like that. But I feel to not have Quidditch at all is a huge part of Harry Potter, and I'm not even a Harry Potter fan, you know what I mean? Like I said, you got people who go to the park with brooms and play Quidditch. As weird as that is, all power to you if you're one of the people who does that. But as weird as that is, like, how do you leave that out of a game that's supposed to simulate this, Yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is a huge misstep. I just do. This is... I don't know. This would be like a Batman game, but we're not going to do gadgets. I don't know. I feel like this is an integral part of the lore that they're just kind of leaving out. Or a John Wick game, but you never go to the Continental. Yeah. I don't know. This is tough for me. This is tough for me to get over on them. But it's your turn.
So Sony is pissing off Last of Us fans in regard to the Last of Us Collector's Editions. There is The Last of Us Part 1 had a Collector's Edition that was only available through Sony's website. However, some of the copies of the game have been delivered damaged. So when customers reached out to Sony to find out what the dealio was and see about getting replacements, Sony refuses, basically adopting the argument that, well, it was fine when we shipped it. That may be true, but that's a real bad look on you guys, especially given the fact that that's the only place you can get it. I don't know. People are getting pissed about it. Sony lately has been very, very anti-consumer, like more so than usual.
Yeah.
I can get down with a little bit of it, not necessarily get down, but accept a certain level of it. But it's getting rough lately.
They are downright standoffish with the very people that pay their bills. And I don't understand that thought process. It's like every week we have a story about Sony, pissing off customers. I know a lot of people think I'm an Xbox guy. I'm not. I would love Sony to be good. It's just right now, Sony, it's like the answer is always no. However, I am going to tell you, just to prove I'm not an Xbox guy, I'm going to tell you a story about how Sony is doing the right thing for a change. And I actually like it. So I'm going to just segue, since you went on the
Go
Sony
right
stuff,
on ahead,
into my big, nasty one that could have been a talking point. Sony is outright fighting with Xbox over Call of Duty. Here's the story, guys. You all know the story to a point. That is, Microsoft is acquiring Activision. It is in the process of that. They have already said that Call of Duty games moving forward will be on Game Pass. So that strengthens Game Pass wholly, because Call of Duty being there is going to be big. That being said, however, they have only guaranteed Call of Duty to not be exclusive, to be sold on PlayStation consoles for the remainder of the contract. They have also said, they have offered to Sony to basically sign a deal that it would be still sold on Sony consoles for only 3 years after the contract expired, at which point Call of Duty would become an Xbox exclusive. And Sony has basically put a middle finger up and said, fuck you, that's not good enough. We also know you're fighting with the SEC about this deal in the first place, and you're certainly not going to lowball us 3 years before you could go exclusive and take this away while you're fighting the SEC. So they've made a big stink about it. They have said it is not good enough for our fans. It is not good enough for our company. It is not good enough, period. Call of Duty should be on both consoles. It has had 18 years of being on PlayStation products, and it should remain here. Look, we live in a capitalistic society. We have said it multiple times on this station. That means that most of the motivations of all of these people come from the almighty dollar. I mean, that's just how it works here in America. It's a bummer, but that's just the way it is. That being said, from a morality standpoint, it shouldn't be exclusive. And I want to say another fucking big fuck you to Phil Spencer, because there's no reason to make this exclusive other than to destroy PlayStation. I feel like somewhere along the line, Phil Spencer got a real bug up his ass against Sony, and he has been slowly destroying Sony, buying up these huge companies, making their products exclusive to Game Pass and to Xbox. When not more than 5 years ago, his whole fucking thing was nothing's going to be exclusive. Game for all. Minecraft wherever, like their whole thing was non-exclusivity. I want to say something else out there. Monetarily, it does not make sense to have a game exclusive, with the exception of the fact to drive people to your product. Game Pass does not need to drive people to their product. They don't. And even if they did, you make money by selling it to all different things. The only reason you make a game exclusive, the only reason, is to drive people to buy your product over somebody else's. So that when Joe Schmo is standing in a store and he's deciding between an Xbox and a PlayStation, he picks the Xbox because the Xbox has Call of Duty. That is the only reason to make it exclusive, because you are literally cutting your profits in half when you say, all these people over here who own PlayStations can't play this game. That means they can't purchase this game. They can't get their hands on this game unless they buy an Xbox. They're not going to do that just for that game. So I really feel like this is a console war reignition and has been. And this is just the next shot in it. Phil, you don't need to do this, man. You don't need to do this for money. That's for sure. You're doing this as a vendetta. And that's bothering me. It's been bothering me for a couple of years. I was a big fan of Phil Spencer. I was a big fan of Phil Spencer, but his actions in the last 3 to 4 years have been just abhorrent as far as the game industry. And as much as he goes up on stage, and I'm sorry I'm still ranting, Neil, just spare me the time. As much as he goes up on stage in his dress casual leather jacket, and he tells you he's your friend and he's trying to make things happen for you, he is not. He is trying to destroy his competitors, and he is making gaming worse. Because when everybody can't get to play a game, it hurts everybody. Period. Because now your PlayStation friend cannot play with you on Xbox. And that's bullshit. That's absolute bullshit, and it should not happen. And the only reason it's happening is because he is trying to take out PlayStation. He is sacrificing the overall gaming good for not even really the dollar, just to hurt PlayStation, to get rid of PlayStation. He wants PlayStation to be a B-level company, and he certainly does not want a PlayStation 6 to come out. The actions of this man over the last 3 years say to me right up the bat that he doesn't want another console from that company. Keep that in mind, anybody out there who's like, Phil's my buddy, he loves gaming and he loves players, because he doesn't. Maybe there was a time when he did, because he certainly felt that way back in the day. Mm-hmm. He doesn't. He wants to destroy PlayStation, and he does not give a shit about you or any of the terrible things that happened at Activision, which is a whole nother rant that I've been on forever. He doesn't care about anybody but taking out PlayStation.
Yeah, it's very clear, and the fact that they're going to go ahead and make that be the offer when they're literally being investigated by the government for basically being too monopolistic is a ballsy move.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my next one here, from one shitty thing to another shitty thing. CDPR has confirmed that they will no longer be developing anything for Cyberpunk for the PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game. The DLC got announced, and there's like a patch and everything like that, but they also hinted pretty hard at a Cyberpunk sequel at some point.
Mm-hmm.
They basically said when they make the next game, they're going to implement certain features into it. So we've learned literally nothing.
You stole one of mine, so we can talk about it for a second. They also kind of extremely hinted at that this will be the one and only expansion for Cyberpunk 2077.
Yeah.
Which begs the, what the fuck have you been doing with your fucking time? Like, you released a shitty broken-ass game. It has taken you, 3 years to release the expansion? Right?
Basically.
Yeah, 3 years to release an expansion. That isn't out yet. It could be another year before we get that.
Yeah.
And that's it. We're done with that game. That was going to be forever. Your tail end. Your multiplayer and everything was coming with that, And just, It's another one of the Halo Infinite stories. It's just slowly, feature after feature has been cut from this game to where now we're only getting one DLC. That DLC is not even going to be included on half of the places that you could play the game. Half of the platforms that you could play Cyberpunk 2077 on will not get access to the DLCs or patches from here on out. Ridiculous. Cyberpunk, CDPR is bullshit. Bullshit company. I will never buy from them again. Ever.
Well, do you want to go into your last one, or do you want me to?
Yeah, sure. I can do it. This was kind of a weird one. So this story kind of broke on IGN recently when there was a big interview with Matt Booty. IGN did an interview with Matt Booty, who is I can't remember what he's called, but he's a big wig at Xbox, basically. And he was asked about Fable and Fable's process. or progress on it. And he basically assured everybody that it's so amazing. And all he wants to do is show people what it has in it, but that the developer has refused to show anything until it's ready. And he has said, I know people are a little bit worried because we gave it to a racing company and everybody's surprised by that, but I think everything they're doing is so amazing that I really want to show it, and they just won't let us show it until such time as it's ready, which begs the question. How much of that is damage control? How much of this game is really done or showable? And are we ever going to see a Fable game here?
That's the thing, because if I remember correctly, it was supposed to be out this year when they officially made the announcement, which was 2 years ago that the announcement was officially made. Mm-hmm. And 2 years before that, at E3, they very heavily hinted at development going on for this game. Mm-hmm. So we're at 6-ish years then of this, and we've literally still not seen it at all.
I mean, still, even if you count out the heavy, the heavy hinting at the E3 prior, it's still 3 fucking years since an announced trailer, and we haven't seen anything. That's crazy. Like, it was pre-pandemic when they announced that, man. Pre-pandemic. Mm-hmm. So, like, where is this game, and what have you been doing on it, and why was it shown there? And that's something that really bugs me. I think it bugs me about all of it. You know what? I actually do have one more. I finally figured out. I wrote something over here that's like "Go F and F," and I didn't know what that meant, but I remembered what it is. So I do have one more after whatever. But still, on this one, it's just very frustrating. You know what? I'm just going to segue into it because we're on it.
May as well.
State of Decay 3. Gears of War has been put on that game along with Undead Labs to finish it. The Coalition.
Okay.
This bothers me. Undead Labs does a great job. They're kicking ass on State of Decay 2. They're still releasing stuff for State of Decay 2. This came out of the Matt Booty interview as well. And then Matt Booty had said, like, because he was asked about it, and he was like, State of Decay 2 is a big thing. It's still releasing content. People are still loving it. It is actually growing, which is true. So we've got the Coalition guys working on it with Undead Labs. Why? Why is the Coalition guys working on it with Undead Labs? And are you about to make my beautiful State of Decay into a fucking Gears of War game? Because please don't do that. Please. Please, please, please don't do that. State of Decay 3 should be State of Decay 2 with better graphics and more AI stuff. That's it. That's all it should be. Like, add animals in, have a couple of extra things in there, add some graphics, but it should just be State of Decay 2 with extra features. That's it.
Yeah, I mean...
Now I'm done. Now I've gotten to both of mine.
Even with that, though, like, we haven't seen anything from it since its announcement, too, so...
yeah, right. And Outer Worlds 2 was announced at the same show, making fun of that whole thing. We also had a Avowed...
Outer Worlds straight up said, we have nothing to show you.
we have Avowed also was shown at that... at that Xbox show, which it was a kick-ass show. The problem is, how much of that was real? So Avowed isn't there. It can't be, because you've bought Bethesda since then. You're certainly not going to, like, make Avowed, which is an Elder Scrolls game. So that's why we haven't seen anything, because it's going to quietly get canceled. You showed State of Decay 3, which the people of State of Decay 2 straight up said we were pressured into doing a trailer. You got a Fable trailer that they were pressured into doing. Like... And then an Outer Worlds trailer that the trailer itself was literally about being pressured into doing a trailer. So, like, I think that, like, that shit needs to stop. Everything that came from that show was bullshit.
Very much so. So I only have one last one here, and then we can wrap her up here.
Totally okay with that.
But GameStop continues its free fall The company's losses have continued. Revenue for the company dropped from 1.18 billion to 1.14 billion in the same period last year in Q2. And losses went from 61.6 million all the way to $108.7 million from the same prior year period. But hey, you know what? They have an NFT marketplace now, so that's what's gonna. They're gonna pull themselves up by their bootstraps.
Are they finally getting into Blu-ray sales?
Yeah. Yeah, they're actually taking DVDs and Blu-rays on trade now. It's wild.
Oh my god, I said that as a joke.
Yeah, no, I they're just like floundering. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Even myself, who's been like diehard GameStop, like just because of the nostalgia of it, like pre-ordering games. I won't even like necessarily pre-order. Like when Tiny Tina's came out, I put in my pre-order like 4 days beforehand. I haven't pre-ordered God of War yet, just because I'm like, do I even want to waste my time? Just get it sent via Amazon, you know.
Honestly, they should just transfer to an accessories thing. That's how they should do things. They should stop doing the games. I know they make all their money on the games. They should shift to accessories, because I still buy my controllers there. I still buy gift cards for stuff there. People still buy consoles there, you know. But like, everybody buys games online or plays them on Game Pass. Like, switch to accessories and trading in accessories, and then maybe you could come back from this, you know, because there's still a market for that. I don't want to order my controllers off Amazon because they cost a fuck ton. So
go back, do the retro thing. Do the retro thing in store. Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64, shit like that. People will come.
Maybe.
I feel like
I think there's less market for that than you think there is.
Oh, really? Yeah.
I mean, there is a market for that. I just, especially since like COVID, I don't think as many people are going to want to hang out in a GameStop playing N64 games, you know. Still, like, doing the collector's thing's an interesting strategy. I don't think you can have the stores or company base that you have doing that, you know.
Yeah.
But all right, well, if you're done, let's wrap this thing up and be done.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Horrible Gaming Podcast.
Alright, so that brings us to the end of the show. The shameless self-promotion that comes with it. Neil, what you got to talk about?
I'm talking about UHW, the wrestling game that we've been playing now for a little while, and it every single time we play it gets better and better. I don't know anything about wrestling, but you know what? It doesn't matter because I'm getting a feel for it as it happens anyways, as we play the game.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a blasty blast. And you can actually, if you haven't done it already, you can buy yourself a copy of it. It looks like this. This is what it looks like if you want to buy it on Drive-Thru Games.
You're such a sweetheart. Yes, drive-thrurpg.com. Please buy my game. I would appreciate it. They won't pay us until we get to a certain amount. We haven't gotten to that amount, so please buy the game. Yeah, and watch UHW. It's a lot of fun. We're making it work, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. We might be taking a slight break here just because of timing coming up, but overall, there's still 4 more episodes going up. Yeah, we're deciding all the titles. The last episode was a good one. It was the True Wrestling Division shootout. That was phenomenal to play. I want to plug a couple of extra things. I'm going to be doing a Let's Play again here with Neil. We need to get back into the Let's Plays. I have missed the Let's Plays with Neil. We look. They're just comedy. It's just us doing silly voices and yelling at each other. We're going to try A Way Out, which is an old prison escape game from Jose Ferris. Co-op things. We're going to be trying that. As it'll be a Let's Play. It'll be a show because we can't promise when we're going to stream or whatever. Right. And then our are we gonna be streaming this Wednesday, man?
Possibly.
Okay.
I got a yes, but we have to figure out what precisely that's gonna be. So
Okay. Yeah.
that'll be a we'll figure out what precisely. I mean,
Okay.
if it comes down to it, just the
Do Halo
old
again.
reliable.
Yeah. If so if you're watching this, we'll be streaming tonight with Neil's lovely wife Kayla, which is always fun for me, at least.
They just yell at me all the time.
And it's fun, guys. I'm not even gonna deny it. Other than that, you can watch Amateur Hour Tuesday nights. You can watch the lunch stream Tuesday mornings, which we're doing State of Decay right now for Forever Communities, which is a lot of fun. I am going to be getting back into GM mode on WWE 2K22. The first stream will already have gone up on the Monday before this, but check it out. I do have some bad news. Star Trek Axiom will no longer be coming out on this channel or Aether Dios's stream, at least to my knowledge. I'm not going to be running it anymore. I don't know if he's going to have somebody take it over or if it is just going to be gone. But either way, I hope you guys have enjoyed it thus far. It was a lot of fun for me. It's kind of it's going to leave a big hole that I didn't get to finish it, but adult life is adult life. So, all right, with that done, I do want to just give a shout out again to William Hoon's channel. Go check out his podcast. He's a lot of fun. And check out Bloody Nose's channel too. And other than that, guys, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you can literally get a hold of us on Facebook at OMGamingDH, on Twitter at OMGaming9. You can join our Discord. Links in the description below. You can comment below, and we'll read all your comments in fan interaction next week. But most importantly, as long as you keep watching and listening, we will keep making it. See you guys next week. Pause. You know, we did watch a superhero thing this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we watched the first episode of She-Hulk.
How'd you feel about it?
Well, if there was anything that was going to bring me back, I think we've talked about it. I love Hulk. I'm a Hulk fan, and ipso facto, I love She-Hulk. I love Jessica Walters. She was spank bank material for me when I was a child all the way. That being said, I mean, I love a strong woman. I just do, and She-Hulk is the ultimate strong woman. That being said, I just don't want to get dragged back into it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like and my wife was like, I kind of want to watch it because she's into legal stuff, and so it kind of really ticks a box for her. And I'm like, yeah. It's just, I know that there's like there's an Abomination trial in it. I know that there's some shit about Stephen Strange in it. I'm sure there's a couple of others in there, and it's just like, I just don't want to just get. I know Daredevil's in it somewhere, and it's just like immediately I'm like, no, there's too many threads already, and then that's gonna make me want to drag me into this to watch the second season of that, and then I'm not gonna be able to know what's going on because it's gonna involve the plot of this show, and then I gotta watch that 12 hours of TV, and I just don't want to get sucked in anymore. It was very good. I loved the first episode. I thought it was really well done. Like, good dialogue, good story, but like, I just don't want to have to follow it anymore. It's just exhausting.
You've only seen the first episode?
Yeah, just first.
I don't think you'll have much of a problem, to be honest, because the first episode is all of these MCU shows do it. The first episode is the one that it's like a creepy guy in a van, with the candy. Like, hey guys, hey kids, you like Hulk? Yeah, you like Hulk. Hulk is here. Come in here and get yourself some Hulk. And then you go in the van, and then Hulk's not there anymore. And that's what it is like, then it turns into its own thing that leans more into the legal end.
Which is totally fine for me. I love the idea of that. It's just...
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, I love the idea of, like, you see all these superheroes and everything like that, but, like, one thing that has happened in the MCU is, like, the Department of Damage Control. So, like, yeah, sure, all this shit happens and, you know, superheroes save the day, but like what happens afterwards?
Right.
There's the Department of Damage Control, and now this here, all the legalities surrounding all of the things. Like, it's its own unique thing, and it doesn't necessarily, like, so far, like, yeah, sure, like, there are characters that pop up. They even make a joke about it at one point, which is fucking phenomenal. But it does not, it can stand on its own. You don't have to, they don't do like oh, well, yeah, well, you know, a couple of years ago when we did X, Y, and Z with this person and this thing and this other thing happened, this is the result of it.
Okay, but here's the thing. Here's the the catch, right? And the reason I want to get into it, even if this stands on its own, even though I know there's a ton of stuff in this right off the bat that you should have seen something else to be able to watch this. Just Abomination. If you haven't seen the Hulk movie, you don't know what the fuck's going on with that. I know he's in it, like, bam. But aside from that, I'm not going to argue that with you. But, like, even if this is relatively standalone, like, you could watch this by itself without having watched any other MCU, you know the same thing's going to happen that happened with every fucking character that was in the Avengers. The first movie is always fine, and then all of a sudden the second movie, it's like, well, did you watch Iron Man 2? And did you watch Captain America 1? And did you watch Ant-Man 3.5? Because if you didn't, you don't know what's going on with the hero that you want to watch now in his second movie. That kind of shit bothers me, and I feel like if we watch this whole season and it's standalone and it's fine, season 2 is going to roll around and be like, yeah, we're all dealing with the after snap effect of the butt pooper, you know, and then like everybody's got to everything's gonna be based off this thing, and I'm just gonna be sitting there like, what the fuck is the butt pooper? What happened with the butt pooper? How did that affect everything? Why does everybody have a third arm now? Like, and then like I gotta go find where the butt pooper happened. Here I find out it's in some obscure shit like Moon Knight 6 or some stuff, and it's like that kind of stuff drives me nuts, because it's like they really expect you to watch start to finish all of it, and I don't have the time. I don't.
That's the thing, is like I've kept up with it, so now like I've seen every single thing of every single thing, and I've seen it now.
So think of all the things you could be accomplishing in that amount of time.
I know. It's
like, add up the amount of hours you've spent just on Marvel. That's my thing. It's not even all movies. It's just Marvel MCU shit. If you added up all the hours of watching, and just think, and here's another one. What if you're a 13-year-old who wasn't even born when some of these fucking things came out, wasn't even old enough to like shit in a toilet when some of these came out, and you have to try and like jump in on Shang-Chi, the second one. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing with your time? Like, ugh. I can't.
It's funny you bring that up, because me and two other dudes at work, all we do is talk about this shit. Like, the one guy tomorrow that I'm gonna see, I haven't seen him since the D23. So like all of the Marvel shit that they announced there, tomorrow's just gonna be a complete unload. But there's also, I've mentioned to you about this other guy who like gets on my case about not watching certain movies. And the one day we were sitting there talking about, you know, the MCU stuff, and he just jumped into the conversation, and he's like, so you've seen all this shit and you can quote all this, that, and the other thing, but you hadn't watched the fucking Die Hard movies until I told you to do it.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same thing when I come up with like an actual classic movie, and you're like, what? I don't know what Lethal Weapon is. Like,
they're on me about Rocky
kidding me
now.
Yeah, they should be. They should be. You should have seen Rocky. There's no excuse for not having seen Rocky. At least Rocky 1 through like 3.